What are your best examples of people cheating the system? My boss will often check the date modified on certain files on our server to see if I have updated or even opened a certain file recently. So, I have installed a changer utility that allows me to modify the date modified on any file. This comes in most handy when my boss wants to give me weekend assignments. I just come in on Monday morning and change the date modified to Saturday night, and he thinks I was actually doing something for work on Saturday night. I've actually received a lot of kudos for this. I don't feel bad though, because my boss is a huge dickhead. My wife and I were at a super fancy restaurant in New York City. Reservations not allowed. Expect to wait. We get there and are told we would be waiting about 2 hours. No problem, we planned on this. Some guy right after us shook the reservation guy's hand, handing him $200. Next thing I know, I hear table 42 for Thomas. Thomas being my name, and I asked for a table of 2. I say, "That is me." They sit us and we ordered drinks and apps. 5 minutes later they say we are the wrong Thomas, but we could stay since we had already ordered. Guess who was the right Thomas? The guy who paid $200 to skip the line. When I was in college, I had this meal plan where the school essentially took my actual money and turned it into campus dollars that could only be spent at school dining halls and cafes. I didn't mind so much until the end of the semester, when I was informed that any unspent campus dollars would go away. I had more than $100 left and only a day to spend them. Here's what I did. I went to the nicest campus restaurant, the one where you're supposed to take your parents when they come to visit. Basically, a real restaurant with waitstaff that also happened to take campus dollars. I got the most expensive thing on the menu and then called the waiter over. I asked him if I could tip him in campus dollars and he said yes. I asked him if he would have immediate access to those campus dollars in the form of actual money, and he said yes. So I made him a deal. I gave him a monster tip and he gave me half of it back in actual money. Many years later, I'm still proud of this. I made a service day, screwed the man, and got my money back. I used to work in a camera store that sold warranties. No matter how the camera broke, they would fix it or replace it under the warranty. The only problem was that the store would ship off the camera to be repaired, sometimes for months, up to 5 times, before replacing it. So, let's say your battery cover breaks off, you ship it off, and 6 weeks later it's back. But it's really a brand defect, so the cover pops off again. They won't replace the whole piece or give you another camera. You're out the camera for months while it's being fixed. They keep selling the defective camera and the warranties. I got tired of effing over customers. I thought it was dishonest. I read the contract myself and found an interesting clause. If the camera was so physically damaged that it was obvious it couldn't be fixed, we could take a pic of it and send that instead. The person immediately got a new camera. When people would come in with a camera with a defect I'd seen 100 times, I'd ask if they just wanted a new one, the next model up, without the defect. They'd say yes, and I'd tell them to take it out into the parking lot and run over it with their car. I'd pile the pieces on the counter, take a pic, and give them their new, non-defective camera. I slept fine. Back in high school I discovered that if you call any question/comment number on a food product, you could make up literally anything and get a coupon for a free whatever it was. So for instance, we'd call Bisquick pancake mix and say we bought a jar of mix, but inside we found 3 already made pancakes. Like that. Just nonsensical stuff. We did it so much that we'd pile up the coupons, go to the grocery store and check out a full cart of groceries and just hand the cashier a stack of these coupons and not pay a cent for hundreds of dollars worth of groceries. We did that multiple times, and eventually the big companies, Kraft, General Mills, etc., catch on and you have to use different names and addresses. I'll never forget the exasperation of the poor person on the other end of the line when I told them the chicken patties I bought just get more frozen every time I put them in the microwave. The kids are outside playing hockey with the effing thing right now. This is bullsh. In the good old days of Black Friday, before stores like Best Buy started getting very crafty and clandestine with their deals, 8+ years ago, there used to be a slight buffer where someone would leak the sales and the items wouldn't be removed from the shelves. I don't remember specifically, but they had a system to prevent you from purchasing then pre-submitting retroactively. As soon as this happened, I strolled on down to Best Buy, took a bunch of stuff that I wanted, and put it in their dryers and washing machines. Basically whatever hiding place that didn't look like it got a lot of browsing or consideration. Then when Black Friday comes, sleep in, head to the store around noon and pull the doorbusters out of a washing machine. I used to be a member of New York Sports Club. It is a semi-expensive gym here. At the time, if you forgot your ID card you could just tell the person behind the desk your number. I always forgot. After a while I noticed I was transposing 2 numbers in my ID and they were still letting me in. I cancelled my membership and had free all-access gym membership for 3 years. I did this at a local racquet club for a while. The very first time I walked in, like I knew the people behind the desk. I waved and said a very friendly hello, like I was happy to be seeing them again. There was a guy and a girl working the desk, and they both smiled and waved back as I walked in without paying or showing an ID card. Perhaps each thought I knew the other. I did this on Monday nights for several months, and it worked every time. After a while, they did recognize me, and the smiles and hellos became genuine. Okay, where to start? My girlfriend runs a salon. One of her employees, we will call her Cassie, has a kid with a deadbeat guy. Cassie and her man friend are drug addicts and very irresponsible parents, and for all purposes bottom feeders. The baby is now just over 12 months or so, and is diagnosed with cancer. Cassie tells my girlfriend she can no longer work, because she wants time at home with her son, that she had never cared about before this. A week later, Cassie revisited the salon and brags about how the state of Ohio is paying her son's medical bills and she doesn't have to pay a dime. Cool deal, I guess. The plot thickens. She has the balls to ask my girlfriend in the same conversation to have a fundraiser for her child's medical bills, because Cassie cannot afford them. My girlfriend is blown away by this, especially considering Cassie quit her job. She politely declines. Cassie leaves. A few days later, Cassie is on the local news with her deadbeat boyfriend sobbing about how she can't pay the medical bills and cannot find work. She asks people to donate to an account at a local bank. The money is rolling in at this point. Cassie appears later at the salon to get a full service cut and color, nails, and shows off the new clothes she had purchased, etc. And before we know it, her son and her crying mug are all over Facebook and the news. Car washes are being held, spaghetti dinners, donation bins at local businesses, you name it, all to pay for medical bills already being paid by the state of Ohio. A few months pass, and so does the child. Very sad indeed. The day after the funeral, Cassie posts on Facebook pictures of her out partying it up at a local club, and soon after there is a benefit dinner being held for Cassie to pay for funeral expenses, and she wants to start a charity for cancer research. Now, this is a short version of the story, but fed up nonetheless. I've urged my girlfriend to report this to someone, but she hasn't out of fear of retaliation. It's too bad that people play on others' feelings and take advantage of the system like this. Felt good to vent. I have a complicated cheating the system on my iPhone. There is a particular app that awards endpoints whenever you do certain things in the app. The first time you open it each day, when you watch one of the news stories, that kind of thing. Well, those endpoints you could trade in later for tons of things, including Amazon gift cards. 5k endpoints was a $5 Amazon gift card. Watching a 10-minute video was worth, in the beginning, about 300 meter points. The trick was that you could drag the bar to the end of the video, and it would still trigger the endpoints. Basically, you could make about $5 a minute the first day they opened it. My buddy and I stayed up super late that night and made several $100s in Amazon gift cards that night, which were just a coupon code you attached to your Amazon account. The next morning they reduced the value from 300 to something like 100 points. Still worth it, in that you could make 1/3 of the money, which was essentially free. The final blow was when they reduced the amount to something like 10 points, then it became too much. In the end, after about a week, we bought 2 high-end gaming computers, parts then assembled from nearly scratch. We already had a tower and power supply for one, but the other was completely built for free, courtesy this app. Was incredible. College age, we're all broke. One friend devises a brilliant scheme to eat for free every day. He would drive through or walk in at a different fast food place each day, saying that he was given the wrong order the day before, but didn't realize it until he got home, at which time it was too late for him to go back. So he called, and the manager told him to come in today for a new and correct order. Oh, and sorry, he forgot his receipt. I don't think there was a single restaurant that refused him. *I**am sure he had plenty of other stories and techniques besides the one I mentioned. That's the one that stands out. He probably called on one night and got a manager to put him on whatever kind of list for the next day.